becoming roadie to headliner, okay? And roadie probably is the wrong term, but it sounded the best. So we're going with it. It's really more like club shows to headliner. Um, and how to get your agency from like you're scrapping by to selling out those arena tours. And it all has to do, spoiler alert, with your money and how you manage it. So let's get into it. Okay, for those of you who are new to my world, who found me through somebody else, I'm Frances. I have been bookkeeping since I was 13 in the year 1999. Don't do that math, okay? Um, my parents owned a small advertising agency slash graphic design agency that they ran out of our home, much like I do now, but bookkeeping. And one summer, I had the audacity to tell them I was bored. And so they said, here you go. Here's the bookkeeping. But back then it wasn't on a computer. It was with a green ledger paper with lines on it. And it was like my mom would print the invoice, one copy for a binder, one copy to mail to the client. And then like I would file the invoice in the binder in the corresponding month. And it was all very nice and organized because my brain does not handle chaos very well. And then when they would mail the check, I would match that to the correct paper invoice, write paid on it, make sure that it's recorded. And I'm, as tedious as it was, I'm grateful for that experience because it has prepared me for the technology that we have today. It has prepared me for being able to do things the faster way. Don't get me started. Some things in technology actually take longer than it would to just have a paper printed out. But that's a different talk for a different day. Anywho, the point is that that prepared me for what it is that I do now. It prepared me for understanding like the calculator version of bookkeeping, whereas back then I was doing like the long division. So that's a little bit about how I got started. I'm also a music fiend. I love pop and I love hip hop. There is no in between for me. Those are my genres. Sometimes I'll listen to classic rock, but my preferred is Jonas Brothers, Justin Timberlake, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Eminem, Drake, that sort of thing. My friends used to tell me I was a hip hop pop princess with a hip hop twist. I'm a mom of two little boys who I love so much. They are my favorite people in the whole wide world. And I'm kind of a freak in the Google Sheets. I love a spreadsheet. And I love the organization that it brings to your business. And mine too. Okay, so why the F should anybody even care about bookkeeping? This is where, if we were live, I would ask you to drop it in the comments. And some of the replies I got were to know what your money's doing, to know how to grow your business. And those are all the right answers. I usually get answers that are like, ooh, it's for taxes. And because you have to have an accurate tax return. I'm like, yes, but that's boring. And yes, but a tax return doesn't grow your business. So filing taxes doesn't really mean anything for your business. It just means that you filed taxes and now you have to pay the government money. Again, another soapbox for a different day. But that is not what bookkeeping can do for you. Yes, that bookkeeping is recording transactions, hence recorded bookkeeping. But it is not the end all be all. Is not, we're not just recording it to turn in a tax return at the end of the year. Believe you me, if that is all that I did all day, I would not be in business because that is boring. Okay. Yes, we need to file taxes. Yes, your taxes need to be accurate. Yes, we want to maximize tax deductions. But maximizing tax deductions, and especially going into this time of year, you do not need the thing just to get a tax deduction. Mark my words, okay? We record transactions so that you can scale your business, so that you can do better than you did last month, so that you can learn and you can have accurate numbers, so you can get your Saturdays back. It's not just for taxes. Okay, so here's a little story time. I want you to think of your favorite artist. And if you are, well, if we were live, I would tell you to tell me who it is. But we're not. So just think about them in your head really hard. Visualize, think about them. If you need help, here's mine. They're currently on tour, which is why I'm using them. Sometimes I use Justin Timberlake in this presentation. Anywho, skis, you got it? Okay, good. When they started, They did not just say, hey, we're the Jonas Brothers and we're going to have an arena tour right now. No. And your person did not start that way either. Here are the people that did start that way: MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice, Milli Vanilli. Where are they now? They're gone. They do not make music anymore because that quick of a transition from nobody to hit single on the radio to selling out shows is not sustainable. There was not a foundation built there. That was like, whew, we're going and we're going 90 miles an hour, and this is a one hit wonder. You are not a one hit wonder, my friend. You are not. You have the longevity of the Jonas Brothers, the Justin Timberlakes, the Linkin Parks, the Simple Plans. They're out on tour right now too. You want the longevity of the band. Backstreet Boys. Hello. Look at the show that they just sold out at the Sphere. Like, people are still going to them. They're still singing the same songs. And we still want to hear them because they're that good. The right offers bring the people, okay? I'm getting passionate about this. Much more passionate than when there's people watching me live. So the bands that make it that long, they've laid the foundation. They've done the work. They've gone from living room to garage to maybe a high school gym to then like a basement club to then later arena shows, state fairs, arenas. And why? Because during that time, they were able to figure out what they were offering. They were able to figure out what their sound was, what their band was, what their brand was, what people wanted from them, what their hit singles were, what they were as a business. Not just, oh, I'm Joe and I'm Kevin and I'm Nick. No, who are the Jonas Brothers? Not like, hey, we're sitting in our living room, but who is the band? And that is something that when you scale too quickly is not thought through. And that has a lot to do with your finances as well. In fact, most of it has to do with your finances because at that point you're doing offers that other people want from you. When you've scaled quickly, you're like, this is your single. This is what you're going to be singing for the rest of your life. And you're like, but I don't even like that song. Like Vanilla Ice, you think he wants to be singing Ice Ice Baby for the rest of his life? No, that's why he's not around anymore. It got tired, it got boring because it didn't come from a wholesome foundation laid place. So what's something that when these artists are first getting started, they are scrappy. They are not making a lot of money. They are not making a lot and they are not spending a lot. But once they've laid those foundations and they get to the point where they know their brand, they know that their offers are good and solid, and they want to go and sell out an arena, they are not doing that just like, oh, tomorrow I want to go sing in an arena. No, they scaled with intention and with a plan. They need a team of people. They need the backup singers, the band, the pyrotechnics, the visuals, the lighting, the accounting department, the stage, people who build the stage. Imagine the Jonas Brothers get to the arena at 9 a.m. and have to start building the stage. And then once they're done building the stage, which probably took them till 7 o'clock at night, then they have to figure out the lighting and set that up and set up the sound and make sure the mics are working and get dressed and, figure out their dinner, what they're going to eat. No, there's a team of people. Just like when you are scaling your agency and you want to get to that point, there has to be a team of people. But I understand that sometimes it's like, how do I get the team of people when I don't have enough money to get the team of people and I'm overworked and I'm working 48 plus hours a week, more than I did at a full-time job, just to not have enough money to pay the people. It's like a never-ending cycle, right? I'm here to help you. Don't worry. It takes planning. It takes a roadmap. It takes understanding what the goal is so that you can build the map to get there. And it takes money, quite frankly. It's not free. So I found this quote. I have no idea who John Bridges is, okay? I just found the quote and I thought it was suiting. Fool and his money are soon departed. Meaning, if you are foolish with your money, you are not going to have any. And it's true because people who are foolish with their money and spend willy nilly, they are not going to have the abundance of money later. And know that there's a lot going on in the online world of like, ooh, just manifest. And like, if you are abundant in your mindset and you'll be abundant in real life. And yes, in your mindset, but not actually like, oh, yeah, I can drop $20,000 right now, even if you don't have it because you're manifesting. That's not how that works. Okay. So that foundation is what's going to get you to the next level, setting that solid foundation. Imagine trying to do an entire arena show and not having a solid stage underneath your feet. It ain't going to happen. Okay. Um, But what does it look like to lay a solid foundation? There's 4 buckets of money and 4 jobs that your money should be doing. So if it's hard for you to conceptualize like, oh, I made $10,000 this month, I don't know what to do with it. That's normal, okay? Nobody is just goes into business just knowing. You have to assign that money jobs. And that's a really easy way for me to explain it to you is that every dollar has a job. Every percentage of a dollar has a job to do. And the first is spending, and we need to budget for spending because I'll tell you what, the Jonas Brothers are not going out there and just spending money without knowing what they're supposed to be spending on. I guarantee that they have a budget. Guarantee. Nobody is out there doing things without one. Because that is the fastest way to just kind of like not know and just spend. But here's another thing that's important. Even if you have a budget, knowing what to spend that is strategically tied back to your goals is super important. So you need to know what your goals are before you can create a budget. So let's say that the Jonas Brothers wanted, to spend a quarter of their budgeted spending money on fireworks for the show, pyrotechnics. Okay, that sounds really cool, right? Like, but now they don't have enough money to pay for the full band or to pay for the backup singers or to have the stage decorated or to wear the costumes. I guess it's not costumes. What's it called? Like, we'll call it costumes for now, that they want to wear on stage or to bring out the special guests of the evening because that's what they're doing currently on tour. Spending too much on one thing takes away from other things. So it's about spending strategically on what is actually going to make the best agency, the best show. Because sure, fireworks look cool, but if you don't have all the other stuff, then the show still kind of sucks. So you got to know how to kind of allocate appropriately. Like I said, having a budget is key, including a monthly analysis. So that sounds really scary. I know, don't worry. Basically, that means looking at your finances every month, just seeing where your money went and how much went to each thing. So it's like, how much did you spend on software last month? Take a peek. How much did you spend on paying contractors? Look at that. You cannot change what you don't measure, and you cannot grow if you're not measuring things. Your goal is always just to do better than you did last month. You're not in competition with anybody else. You're just trying to better your agency every day. For budgeting and spending, my baseline is we don't want to be spending more than 40% of gross. So if you make $1,000, you don't want to spend more than 400 on operating costs for your business. So that's contractors, software, client gifts, advertising and marketing, all that stuff that it takes to run your business. We don't want to spend more than 40% on that. So you're probably like, well, where is the other 60% going? Next up, taxes and savings. Tax savings. Uncle Sam wants his cut. He does. He wants 15% of your gross. And that is an estimate because the IRS is funny like that. And they like to play a game called just guess how much you're going to owe. And we'll tell you at the end of the year if you were right or wrong. Okay. So nobody actually knows what that number is throughout the year. You're taking your best guess, but a good baseline is 15% of gross. And that's not net, that's gross. And that's why the number's a little lower. And I had this question when I did the live. Somebody said, but I've always heard 25% of net. Same thing. You're going to be almost equal. And the example I gave was if you have $100, 15% of $100 is $15. If you have $100 and you spend $75, was that my example? You spent $25, you have $75 left. 25% of 75 is 18.75. You're very close in numbers there. But because I wanted to be consistent across this presentation, I'm giving you the gross percentage and not the net. So 15% of net is about equal to 25% of growth. 15% of gross is about equal to 25% of net. That's the right word. So don't freak out too much about the lower percentage. You want to save that. And I have found that the best way is like, do not pass go, do not collect $200, just move it out of sight, out of mind. I am one of those people that, like, if I have clothes in a drawer and not in my closet, I forget that they exist because I can't see them. So that works really well for me with money, is moving my tax savings to a completely different account so I don't even remember that it exists, and it's just sitting there waiting for me for when I need to pay estimated quarterly taxes. Another thing while I'm thinking about that is keep in mind that this is for LLC owners. S corps are going to have different percentages because inherently you have more operating costs because there's more to pay, including your salary. So this is for my LLC owners out there. If you're an S corp, email me and I can talk you through it. Sorry. My tea is helping to keep my throat nice and coated for you. So I like to just move it immediately, out of sight, out of mind. If you are like me and don't wear the clothes that are in your drawer, do that and you'll be fine. Okay, next up is profit. And like I said, I love hip hop. Drake once said, "Man, it's gross what I net." And I thought that that line was really, really fun. So I'm using it here. You want to understand the difference between gross and net, first of all, which if you're here, I think you probably do. But there are two types of profit, according to me. According to, accounting, there's one. It's your income minus your expenses equals your profit. Okay. In my world, there's a second profit because, yes, that one's great, fine, dandy. But then there's the profit that you actually get to keep, because the profit that is like the general profit that we talk about, income minus expenses, does not include things like your owner's pay. It does not include your tax savings. It does not include credit card payments. It includes the expenses that you put on your credit card, but not the payment, which is usually a month later. So those types of things come out of that profit that you have. And it's not on your profit and loss statement, nor should it be, because it's not, those things are not an expense to your business. Tax savings, not an expense when you're an LLC. Owner's draw, not an expense when you're an LLC. Well, a draw is not an expense ever, even if you're an S corp, but that's a different, I digress. So I like to say your net profit and then your business profit. And your business profit should be about 10% of your gross income. Okay. And what's that profit going to do? This is so important. Okay. The profit is going to fund, if you get the opportunity to go to Europe for a month and you don't want to work while you're there, no problem. You have profit built up in your business. You want to hire a full-time employee, but you don't have the revenue to cover it yet, profit. You can hire that employee with the profit that you've saved, and now you can have her take over work and you can get new work and fund her that way. You want to get a new computer because your computer crapped out, profit. You can also think of it as savings. That's fine too. But this profit is what's going to move your business forward. This profit is what's going to scale your business, and nobody ever talks about it. And everybody talks about the net profit, but nobody talks about the profit that you actually get to keep, because nobody out there, like the gurus, don't really understand the difference between a profit and equity in your business and the accounting principles that are there. The net profit that you get from your profit and loss statement does not include your owner's pay and does not include your tax savings. It doesn't include the credit card payment that you make next month. And a lot of people forget about those things. And it's so, so, so important to realize that there's a difference in the two. And that's why in my world, I say there's two profits. There's the one on the profit and loss sheet, and then there's the one that you actually get to keep. And I like to plan for the one that you actually get to keep. So right off the bat, 10%, move it. You don't have to move it if you don't want to, but if you want to, you can. And I'll show you in a couple slides what I do for mine. But it's so important. And this is the piece that moves your business forward. There's a lot that goes on in the online space about hitting a 10K month and getting to that 10K month, and it's magically going to like solve all your problems. But if you don't know how to use that 10K, it's not going to solve anything. It's just going to create more problems. If you don't know how to properly distribute the money, you're just up a creek without a paddle with more money. You know what I mean? Like nobody is ever willing to teach because they don't understand this part of it either. And that frustrates me so much because you deserve to know. You are a business owner and you deserve to know how to spend your money just like they've taught you how to make the money. I'm not here to teach you how to make money. You already know how to do that. I'm here to teach you how to use it. Okay. So we're going to move on to owner's payment. And unfortunately, this is the last thing. And it's last on the list because this is what we play with when we need more money in other spots. And I know it sucks. Don't get mad at me. But owner's pay is where we get the wiggle room for other things. And vice versa. If you don't need so much in another category, like let's say your expenses are actually really low and you don't need 40%, great. Take part of that 40% and put it in the owner's pay. This is where we have that wiggle room. But by all means, you need to pay yourself. You run the business. You need to pay yourself the money. You cannot just run the business and not pay yourself. I've had multiple clients come to me and say, "Oh, I haven't paid myself in a year." And I'm like, "Why are you working for free? Why are you working for free?" And like, I'm so proud of them for caring so much about their business and putting their business first. For, I would say 99% of us is like a child. I know my business is like my third child, but we also need to fund our lives and we need this business to be worthwhile for us. Otherwise, we're just working for no reason. So 35% of gross should be going to you. Now, if you're in a season where you're growing and you're like, I can sacrifice a little bit of owner's pay to put back into the business to like make it move forward. Like I want to invest in ads, or I'm okay like taking a little bit away from my pay because I want to, hire a marketing manager to do this push. By all means, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But don't not pay yourself. I will come looking for you. I won't come looking for you, but I will like knock on your Instagram DM door and be like, hi, excuse me. Did you pay yourself? Okay. So here's where I was talking about like visualizing the funds. This is my personal business account. My business account, like my own business account. Not my personal business account. I like to split my money into buckets, and I've labeled, my bank lets me have buckets for all my money, and I've labeled here each one, and I've put my percentage because I'm not perfect and I can't remember all my own and all my clients' percentages. I write them down. So you'll see here I had $300 that I needed to disperse, and I dispersed them 10% to my profit bucket, 40% to my owner's pay because I do have a lower overhead in my business. Operating costs for me are 30%, and I like to oversave for taxes because I'm a freak. So I do 20% to my taxes. But that's what works for me in my business, my percentages. Your percentages might be different than mine. What I've given you here today is a baseline if you are just starting out and you have no idea what your overhead is. Start with the percentages I gave you, and you can change them as you figure things out. My favorite banks that allow you to do this type of thing are Relay, Novo, and Ally. And just a heads up, Ally only lets you do personal accounts, not business accounts. But as long as your money for your business is separate from your personal money that you spend on your bills and shopping and groceries and all that, you're fine. If you're an LLC owner, I double checked on the IRS website yesterday before I told you this. There are other programs like Sequence that do things like this for you. If your bank doesn't allow you to do buckets, it will do the same thing. But it costs money, and it's like, I don't think it's necessarily worth it. My spreadsheet that most of you have does it also, but I understand that sometimes having to like find a spreadsheet and look at it is cumbersome and like annoying. But I do want to stress the importance of checking your bank every day. So, sipping your morning coffee, or when you first sit down at your desk, before you do anything else, open your bank checking account for your business and just look at it. Take 5 minutes, just look at it. I'm not even asking you to take any action, just see what's going on. This will allow you to see the patterns as they unfold. It will allow you to catch anything that's going on that's wonky, kind of like, what's that? I don't really know. Or, oh, shoot, I forgot that that was coming out today. Things like that, because we live in a digital age and everything is the click of a button. Excuse me. And it is so easy to just submit a payment with your credit card and we forget. It's very easy to forget what you actually paid for. Back in the day, you used to have to write a check and then log it in your ledger. And that, I think, committed more to memory of like what was outstanding. You had to check that before you wrote the next check, because otherwise you wouldn't know if you were going to have enough money to cover it. Unless you had cash in your pocket, you weren't really shopping. So, excuse me, my saliva went down the wrong way. Not that you needed to know that, but that's what's going on. So, that is why it's important to check every day. You're going to have a little bit more control and you're going to catch the patterns. So, just to recap, we're doing budgeting and spending is 40%, tax savings is 15, business profit is 10, and owner's pay is 35. And that is, I keep looking over here. My slides are over here, and what I see on the screen is very tiny. That is essentially the baseline. And this is all, remember, off of gross, not net. Okay, gross. It's your baseline. That's where you start. All right, so if you look at this and you're like, that math is not mathing, I definitely spend more than 40% on business operating, then I want you to look at your offers, see if your offers are actually profitable. And a lot of times we think, oh, my highest paying client's my most profitable. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not. And I want you to look at those and kind of just see, is it actually profitable? Which one is making you the most amount of money? And also take a look at what you're actually spending money on. Pull up your bank statements, pull up your credit card statements, actually look at the transactions. What is happening? Are you buying yourself iced coffees every time you go to the co-working space and using your credit card funds? Those aren't a business expense, by the way. Are you sending out client gifts and it's like $200 per client? Are you spending a ton on software that maybe you're not even using that much? I can tell you right now, I'm paying for Adobe and I don't even use it. They wouldn't let me cancel. So there's things like that that happen and it sucks, but being aware of it is 75% of the battle. Is this the only way to scale your agency? No, Joe Jonas is telling you. You can scale to that arena, not by having a team. You can scale by doing group sessions, group programs, recorded masterclasses, digital downloads. There are lots of ways to scale to that arena, but most of you are here because you either have an agency or you're interested in having an agency. No matter how you decide to get there to that arena, The principles are the same. Okay. You, my friend, get a bonus that is included in the email with this replay. It is a list of cash injections, speaking of other ways to scale. And those are ideas for you. You can take it and run with it. They might spark a different idea. It's like fun things that you can do to get a little more cash in your agency. And that brings me to kind of tell you a little bit about the Vanilla Agency Tour, which is coming so soon on October 20th. If you went through this webinar and you're like, yes, I need to do that, this is one of the things that we're doing in the Vanilla Agency Tour. It's week 2 where we go through and we figure out all the money. It's a 4-week program, and it's kind of like this where I go through and I give you a presentation and I teach you something that you actually need to know in your business, not any of the fluff that you don't actually need. We're just doing things that you need to know as a CEO to become empowered with your finances and not be afraid to use your money. So week 1, we're creating systems. We're looking at QuickBooks. I know, don't get mad. We're looking, and I'm teaching you just what you actually need to know from there, because I'm assuming that you either have somebody internal on your team that's going to work on bookkeeping, or you've hired out a bookkeeper, or you're looking to hire out a bookkeeper. And I'm teaching you just what you need to know that person might ask you for. How to read a profit and loss report. What's a balance sheet? What's a chart of accounts? How to read a bank statement. Just things like that, like the paperwork you need when you hire a contractor, paperwork you need when you hire a employee, things like that, not BS. Okay. And week 2, we're organizing your money. So basically what we learned today on steroids. And then week 3, we're realizing your goals. We're matching your goals to your money. Do the two coincide correctly. We're using the budget and cash flow spreadsheet that, if you don't already have, I will give to you. And then in week 4, we're executing the vision, and we are doing hot seat coaching that week. But every week you get to work while on the call with me, so that if you have questions in real time, I can answer them for you, and I will hold your hand through it. And you have access to me for the rest of the week as well for questions. I'm so excited because this is what the world needs. I feel like so many founders and female agency owners are afraid of money, and they have been told, like I said earlier, the magic 10K month. Ooh, but then you don't know how to use the money that you've made, and it's not a magic pill, and it doesn't solve every problem to hit that 10K month. It matters to know that you're using the money strategically to actually benefit your business. I'm so passionate about it, and I could talk about it all day, but I won't bore you. If you are interested, it's available. The card is open. You can go to recordedbookkeeping.com, or you can click the link in the email. It's there for you. This is the inaugural round, so it's only $499 this time, and that's for the whole 4 weeks, not per week or anything like that. And because it's cheapest this time because it's the inaugural round, we start October 20th and we'll be done before Thanksgiving. So by next year, you'll have the foundations to take 2026 by the BALLS. Okay, so that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed that, thank you so much. If you didn't enjoy it, thank you so much for sitting through it anyway. If you have questions, just hit reply to the email that I sent this to you in and just ask me. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. I am so happy that you were here and that you decided to learn a little more about your finances. And I will talk to you super soon. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.